Ever felt like you're just constantly churning out content, trying to make your voice heard, but I don't know, it's just not quite landing? What if the real secret, the key to truly authentic, high-impact marketing wasn't actually more of your content? What if it was about leveraging, well, everyone else's? Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we try to cut through all that noise and get you straight to the insights that actually matter. Today, we're taking a deep plunge into the world of user-generated content, UGC. It's incredibly powerful, but maybe sometimes a bit overlooked. Our mission today is simple, really. It's a shortcut. We want to arm you. Whether you're running a small business, you're an indie author, maybe a creator just starting out, a busy freelancer, a solopreneur, with the knowledge you need to really harness UGC. Because, think about it for a second. Every single day, your customers, your fans, your community, they're posting things. They're writing reviews, sharing videos, maybe even making art about what you do. These aren't, professional marketers, but they're everyday stuff. They're genuine voice. That can be an absolute game changer. So how do their posts, their unboxing videos, their heartfelt testimonials become your most powerful marketing tool? That's what we're diving into.
And it's such a crucial topic right now. The sources we looked at for this, well, they're pretty extensive. They cover everything from, the basics, what UGC actually is, the psychology behind why it works, all the way through to crafting a solid strategy, encouraging people to actually participate authentically, managing all the content that comes in, because it can be a lot, and really importantly, measuring your success. So we're aiming to give you a complete kind of nuanced picture, tailored specifically for those of you looking to tap into this really authentic and, like you said, often underused stream of content. It's about getting past just knowing the buzzword, right, and actually integrating it into how you grow.
Okay, right. Let's unpack that first part then, the power of people. We hear user-generated content thrown around a lot, but for many folks, it might still feel a bit abstract. So when our sources talk about UGC, what's the fundamental shift in marketing they're pointing to, especially for smaller operations? And what does it actually look like in practice?
Yeah, it's less about the label, UGC, and more about who's talking. Fundamentally, UGC shifts the power, the narrative power, from the brand itself over to the consumer. It's basically any content, could be text, images, videos, audio, whatever, that's created by individuals, not by your brand, but relates to your brand in some way. So think about like that 5-star review an indie author gets on Goodreads. That's UGC, absolutely. Or maybe a customer at a local coffee shop shares a really nice photo of their latte art on Instagram. That's UGC too. A freelance designer, maybe their client posts a video testimonial about the great logo they designed. But definitely UGC. Even things like, memes or fan art that kind of bubble up around your product or service. That falls under this big umbrella too. It's all about tapping into those organic conversations that are already happening out there.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It's not just a standard review, it's like a story, but told by someone else, someone real. But why? Why does this, seemingly informal, unscripted, sometimes maybe even a little raw content hold so much power? Why should our listeners, who, let's face it, are often already stretched, pretty thin, prioritize trying to get this kind of content?
Right, and what's really fascinating here, and what the research consistently points to, is that UGC taps into this really deep psychological need we all have for social proof. We're social creatures, right? Humans trust recommendations from our peers, from people like us, way more than we trust official brand messaging. Our sources are showing that consumer trust in traditional advertising is really low, like all-time low sometimes. But trust in peer recommendations, still incredibly high. We're talking upwards of 90% in some studies. So UGC builds this amazing level of trust and authenticity. When a potential customer sees a real person, not some paid actor, genuinely excited about your product or service, it resonates immediately. And that translates directly into, boosted engagement, obviously. But more importantly for our listeners, it means higher conversion rates. People are just significantly more likely to interact with content from their peers. And that interaction often leads directly to sales or signups. Oh, and here's the kicker, the part that small businesses often overlook.
Yeah.
It can drastically cut your content creation costs. Your audience essentially becomes this powerful, distributed, and incredibly authentic marketing team. And often, they're doing it for free, just because they genuinely love what you do.
I really like that breakdown, especially hitting on the psychology. It's not just some fleeting trend, it's tapping into something really fundamental about how we make decisions. And for anyone listening who might be thinking, okay, fine, but that's for the big guys, the huge corporations. Our sources also show how smaller businesses, even solo operators, can use these exact same principles. Can you give us a couple of examples, maybe even some slightly surprising ones that really illustrate this power?
Sure, definitely. Let's look beyond maybe the obvious ones, but still draw lessons from them. So, Starbucks's #RedCup campaign, right? Everyone knows it. But the deeper insight there is how they managed to turn a simple seasonal product into this huge community ritual. By encouraging customers to share photos of their cups, Starbucks didn't just get free ads. They actually transformed drinking coffee into this shared participatory thing. It wasn't really about the cup itself, was it? It was about being part of this bigger moment. So for a small business, the lesson is finding your version of that red cup, the unique aspect of your product or service that people feel proud or excited to share. Or think about GoPro. Okay, yeah, they're a big brand now, but their entire marketing strategy is basically built on the incredible footage their customers capture. They don't pay for most of those thrilling adventure videos you see. Users create them because they love the product and they want to share their experiences. It really shows that if your product enables amazing experiences, your users will literally create your best marketing material for you. The kind of surprising bit is how little GoPro probably needs to produce in-house compared to other tech companies.
Okay, and what about something maybe more tangible for, say, our indie authors or solopreneurs listening?
Good point. For them, the immense value of something like Amazon reviews or Goodreads reviews for authors is just critical. We kind of gloss over them sometimes, but think about your own buying habits. How many times have you maybe skipped past a book or a product because it had 0 reviews, or maybe just one lukewarm one? Research consistently shows that products with more reviews, even if they're not all 5-star perfect, significantly outperform those with just a few. The key insight here is that the sheer quantity and the perceived quality of customer opinions directly drive purchasing decisions. It's not just about getting a good review, it's about building up this body of authentic social proof that creates this cumulative sense of trust over time. So the takeaway for you, listening right now, is to really think about your own audience. What kinds of content might they naturally be creating already without you even asking? Are they sharing photos of your handcrafted jewelry? Maybe writing really thoughtful reviews of that online course you made? Or perhaps creating short little videos showing how they use your freelance service? Just identifying those top 2 or 3 types of UGC your audience is already kind of inclined to produce. That's a fantastic low-friction place to start building your own strategy. It's really about meeting them where they are.
Right. So we get the what and the undeniable why. But like you said, effective UGC isn't just accidental. You don't just wake up one morning to this flood of perfect customer content, unfortunately. It needs a plan, right? An intentional strategy. So, okay, what does this actually mean for someone listening who wants to build that plan, maybe starting from scratch?
Yeah, this is where we move from just being inspired to actually taking action, laying the groundwork. The very first foundational element, according to all our material, is setting crystal clear goals. What are you actually trying to achieve with UGC? Is the main aim just getting more eyes on what you do, brand awareness, or is it about deeper audience engagement, fostering a community, getting conversations going? Or is it more direct? Are you trying to boost sales or signups? Your goal really dictates every single choice you make after that. For example, if it's awareness, you might focus on getting broad social media shares, things that could maybe go viral. If it's direct sales, you'd probably prioritize detailed product reviews or video testimonials that clearly explain the tangible benefits. Okay, next up, you've got to choose the right platforms. And this is where a bit of technical know-how meets really understanding your audience. Where do your ideal people actually spend their time online, and what kind of content really works well there? Is it Instagram, maybe for those really visually stunning product shots, or Reels showcasing your service? Could it be TikTok?
For short, engaging, often trend-based videos. Great for quick tips or maybe behind-the-scenes stuff. What about LinkedIn? Especially for B2B. Good for professional testimonials, user-contributed articles showing expertise. Or maybe YouTube for longer reviews, tutorials, unboxing videos. Even your own blog could work for longer case studies or maybe guest posts from happy clients. The key is matching the platform not just to your audience, but also to your specific UGC goal and the kinds of content styles that are native to that platform. It's crucial for success.
That's a really important distinction, the platform versus the goal. It's not just about needing to be everywhere all at once.
Yeah. Exactly. Not at all. And then finally, you need to decide on your preferred content style. Are you leaning more towards, say, formal content, like detailed reviews, case studies, structured testimonials that really offer a deep dive into how well your product works? Or are you aiming for something more informal, more spontaneous? Quick, candid photos, reaction videos, maybe memes, short, authentic reels capturing a fleeting moment. Your brand's overall voice, what your audience seems to prefer, and again, your objectives, those should guide this decision. For, say, a B2B freelancer, those formal case studies might be absolute gold. But for an indie apparel brand, maybe quirky unboxing videos are going to hit harder. And here's something really practical our sources suggest. Create a simple goal plus channel plus UGC type matrix. Seriously, just a quick table. Sketch it on a napkin, put it in a spreadsheet, whatever works. Map it out. What do I want to achieve? That's the goal. Where will I find my audience doing this? That's the channel. And what specific kind of content am I looking for there? That's the UGC type. The simple little tool. It takes the kind of abstract idea of strategy and makes it immediately actionable. Helps you prioritize and focus your efforts, which is huge.
I love that framework. It's so practical, takes the guesswork out, which I imagine is a massive relief for a lot of our listeners. Okay, but even with a clear plan, getting people to actually do it, to participate, sometimes that can feel like, well, it's pulling teeth. Once you know what you want, how do you actually get people to create this content for you? How do you spark that conversation and get them involved?
Right, this is the fun part. Making participation as easy and, yeah, as fun as possible. Our sources highlight several really effective, low-barrier ways to do this. Branded hashtags are incredibly powerful. We mentioned Starbucks earlier. They create this central, discoverable hub for all the user content related to your campaign or brand. So for an indie author, maybe encouraging readers to use something like #ReadWithKumar, just an example. When they share their reading experience, their favorite quotes, or even just their Bookstagram photos, it makes them feel part of a wider community. Contests and polls are also fantastic. They boost engagement and give people a really clear reason and incentive to create something specific. Think about a simple photo contest. Show us how you use our product. Tag it, #YourBrandContest. Maybe win something. It doesn't have to be complicated. And interactive Q&A sessions, maybe on social media or during a live stream, can generate a ton of thoughtful comments and discussions. Those can easily be repurposed later into things like quote cards or short video clips.
Okay, but let's talk about a common concern, especially for small businesses, solo creators, budget. Do you really need to pay people to create content for you? What kind of incentives actually work without, breaking the bank?
That's a crucial question, absolutely. And the good news is, most of the time, no. You often don't need a huge budget for direct payments. Our sources consistently show that there are incredibly effective, low-cost incentives that genuinely motivate your audience. Why? Because they tap into that desire for recognition, for being part of the community. Simple things like social media shoutouts where you feature their awesome content and tag them can be a huge motivator. People love being seen, being acknowledged, celebrated by the brands they like. Small giveaways can also work wonders. Maybe a free product, a small gift card to their favorite local shop, or even just exclusive early access to something new you're launching. It can generate a lot of buzz for a pretty minimal investment. And featuring fans in your newsletters, maybe on your website, or creating a regular community spotlight series, that makes them feel like a really valued part of your brand family. Gives them their little moment in the spotlight. However, this brings up a really, really important point about navigating the legal and ethical side of using other people's content. While you definitely want to encourage creation, it is absolutely critical to always credit the creator when you repost their stuff. It's not just good manners, it's about respecting their intellectual property. And, just as importantly, always ask for their explicit permission before you share anything they've created, especially if you're planning to use it beyond just a simple social media repost. A quick DM, a comment asking, "Hey, love this post, may we share it with credit?" It goes such a long way. This builds trust, it avoids potential headaches down the road, and it clearly establishes you as a brand that respects its community members.
Right. Okay, so let's say you've done that. You've got people excited. They're actually creating content. You're starting to see it pop up online. That's fantastic. But now, how do you handle it all? Without getting completely swamped, it feels like it could easily turn into chaos if you don't have some kind of system in place.
Oh, it absolutely can, which is precisely why managing and curating that UGC is the next vital step. So first, let's talk about collection. How do you gather it all? Well, the methods you use to encourage it, like those branded hashtags, also double as your main collection points. You need to be actively monitoring those hashtags across the platforms where your audience is active. Setting up direct submission channels is also really effective. Maybe a simple form on your website or a dedicated email address, even just encouraging DMs on social media where people can easily send you their photos or videos. And don't underestimate the power of social listening tools, even the free ones. Setting up Google alerts for mentions of your brand name or product, using mention, or just leveraging Instagram's built-in tag and mention notifications. These can help you catch content you might otherwise miss entirely. Our sources even mentioned using things like advanced search queries on Twitter or other platforms to find more nuanced conversations happening around your brand. Okay, so once you've gathered a pool of content, the next step is really the art of curation. This is where you need to be a bit critical. You select the best content, the pieces that truly align with your brand's voice, your quality standards, and those overall objectives you set earlier. Look, not every single piece of UGC you find is going to be a perfect fit for reposting, and that is totally okay. Your job is to pick out the gems, the ones that best represent your brand, and will really resonate with your target audience. Maybe it's that absolutely glowing review, or a beautifully shot photo, or a video that just perfectly captures the joy of using your product.
And practically speaking, how do you keep it all organized once you've found those gems and curated them?
Yeah, organization doesn't need to be super complicated or expensive. Our sources suggest starting simple but effective, like a basic folder system on your computer or cloud storage, a Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever you use. You could create folders like Collected UGC, Approved for Use, maybe Scheduled, and Posted, something straightforward. If you're more visual or need to collaborate with others, free tools like Trello or Airtable can be incredibly useful. You can set up boards or spreadsheets to track each piece of content, note down if you have permission, assign posting dates, maybe even store direct links to the original post. The absolute key is just establishing a clear, repeatable workflow, something like Collect, EPO, Post. That simple flow helps simplify the whole process and stops it from feeling like total chaos.
Okay, so we've put in all this effort, we've encouraged people, we've collected the content, curated it, organized it, But how do we actually know if it's working? How do we measure the real impact of UGC on our business goals? What's the proof in the pudding, especially for, a small business or creator who really needs to see a return on their time and effort?
Measuring success is absolutely vital. You need to understand your return on effort, and it helps you refine your strategy over time. Our sources point to 3 key metrics you should definitely be tracking, and they link right back to those initial goals you set. First is engagement rate. So this includes things like likes, shares, comments, saves, even DMs on the UGC you've shared, or that your users have posted themselves using your hashtag. High engagement tells you your audience is connecting with the content, it's sparking conversation. Second, and maybe most important for many, is conversions. Are you actually seeing tangible results, like sales, new signups, email list subscriptions, maybe even direct inquiries that you can trace back to a specific UGC campaign or a particular piece of user content? This is where UGC shows its direct business impact. Using things like UTM parameters on links you share can be super helpful for tracking this. And third is reach and brand sentiment. How many new people saw your brand or content because of UGC? This measures how far your message is spreading organically. And sentiment is about how people are talking up your brand positively, negatively, neutrally.
And the really excellent news here is you don't necessarily need fancy, expensive analytics software to track these basics. Many platforms have simple, built-in analytics. Instagram and TikTok, for instance, give you insights into post performance like reach and engagement right there in the app. And free tools like Google Analytics are great for tracking website traffic and conversions that come from social media or other places where your UGC is visible. For tracking sentiment, honestly, even just simple manual monitoring of comments and mentions can give you a pretty good pulse check to start. The main thing is to pick just a few key metrics that align with your original goals and then consistently monitor them over time to see the trends.
Wow, this has been a truly comprehensive deep dive into UGC. We've really gone from understanding its core power all the way through to putting a full strategy into place and, crucially, proving its worth. We've covered defining it, building the strategy, encouraging people, managing the flow, and finally measuring the impact. It's really clear this is a powerful, often free marketing channel that, frankly, our listeners probably can't afford to ignore. So for you listening right now, here are 3 concrete steps you could maybe implement right away, drawing straight from our source materials next steps section. First, just take a moment. Define one clear campaign goal. What do you really want your UGC efforts to achieve in, say, the next 30 days? Be specific. Second, pick just one hashtag, or maybe one single clear call to action for your audience to use. Keep it super simple to start, don't overcomplicate it. And third, start sharing the best UGC you find. But always, always give explicit credit to the original creator. That part's non-negotiable if you want to build trust in a real community.
Yeah, and we know there might still be some lingering questions bubbling up, so let's try and tackle a few common ones that came up in the FAQ sections of our material. You might be thinking, okay, but what if nobody shares any content? Like crickets. Yum.
The advice from our sources is pretty consistent on this. Start incredibly small. Make it ridiculously easy for people to participate. And maybe lead by example. Share other relevant content first. Show appreciation publicly. And your audience will likely start to follow suit gradually. Another common one. Do I absolutely have to pay for UGC? And the answer is usually no. As we talked about, those creative incentives, shout-outs, small giveaways, exclusive access, they're often much more effective and sustainable, especially for building authentic connections, than just straight payment. And finally, maybe, what's the actual legal risk if I mess this up? And this really loops back to what we stressed earlier. Always credit the creator, and always ask for explicit permission before you repost anything. Setting clear expectations and respecting intellectual property, that's your best defense against any legal or ethical issues. Plus, it builds enormous goodwill.
So as you go about your day after listening to this, maybe take a second to consider the huge untapped potential that's probably sitting right there within your existing audience. Those loyal customers, those fans who are already your biggest advocates. What story are they just waiting to tell about your brand, your product, your service? And how can you, maybe starting today, empower them to tell that story for you? The real beauty of UGC is how it can turn passive consumers into active, really passionate advocates. So go on, start experimenting with some of these ideas. You might be genuinely amazed at the authentic connections you build and the powerful, cost-effective marketing that results just by tapping into the real voices of people who already love what you do. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll catch you next time.